Hi, it's Dr. Steve from Misericordia University, and welcome to today's online class. As part of Mod 3, we considered the legal rights and requirements for teachers in the classroom, especially as regards to classroom management. Toward the end of Mod 3, we made reference to different technology tools that could be useful in helping us track student behavior. Let's take up that discussion now in today's online class. In class, we considered the following models for addressing student management issues that happen when we're in the instructional process. We looked at performance barriers, and we looked at the work of Walker. Today, let's add the work of De Bruin and Larson, plus let's look at several other apps that can be helpful to us as well. To review, we looked at the work of Mager and Pipe, and they suggested that if a student does not comply with what we ask them to do in the classroom, it has to do with performance barriers. In other words, something that's stopping them from complying with what we ask them to do. Mager and Pipe suggest that there are three performance barriers, and they are skills and knowledge, motivation, and resources. And by skills, we mean simply that a student does not know how to perform a task. Are they motivated? Do they have a reason valuable enough to motivate them to participate in that task and complete it? And finally, the resources. Maybe they don't have the time or the proper materials in order to perform that particular task. What these researchers suggest is identify the source of the problem and then take steps to address the issues. And they also point out that students are not always themselves aware of what problem is stopping them from performing those tasks and complying with the teacher's requests. We also briefly mentioned the work of Walker, and Walker identified 4 sources of student misbehavior. Walker suggested that if students are not on task, it's for one of 4 reasons. They want power, they feel inadequate, they want to get even or revenge, or they want attention. And this serves as a good introduction to the next piece of research that we're going to add. You can handle them all. It's a suite of products that's based on the work of De Bruin and Larson. I really like this work, and I think it's very practical, pragmatic, and valuable for a teacher to use in the classroom. What they do in their suite of products is they allow a teacher to locate a classroom management strategy if the teacher can determine the behavior under certain categories. So similar to the Walker, here we find these researchers suggest there are 4 types of management issues, and then they break that down into 124 separate student behaviors. Let's take a better look. The first category that they mention is attention. Attention is one of the main reasons why students misbehave or don't comply with what a teacher asks in the classroom. Most students do gain attention through just normal channels, but for some students, acting out or misbehaving is the only way that they can get attention. And we can find examples of this when students are speaking out, they're tardy for class, they're making noises, or just acting in ways that draw attention to themselves. A second category they describe is power, a need for power, and it's expressed by students as dissent and refusal to follow rules and guidelines offered by teachers. These students seem to feel that if they had more power, they would be telling teachers what to do rather than vice versa. So we find this acted out when students are defying authority, they're breaking rules, when students bully others. They feel that their trouble lies in the fact that they just don't have enough power. A third category is revenge. These students already tried to gain attention, they tried to gain more power, but finding that not profitable for them, they decided to find their place by being hated by others. So now they find satisfaction in being mean or violent to teachers and to other students. And you can see this acted out when students write on desks, they bully or threaten others, they try to break something, break windows, they write on walls. These are all forms of revenge. The fourth and final category offered by these researchers is self-confidence. These students lack self-confidence and they expect to fail. In fact, they give up and they don't even try anymore. Now, they may be fine outside of school, but in the classroom, they give up based on their feeling of lack of self-confidence. Now, this tends to frustrate teachers because teachers believe that these students can handle these studies successfully, and they feel sometimes that these students are copping out. And in fact, many times they are, because sometimes they're using a real sense of inability, but sometimes they're using an assumed sense of inability to escape participation in the different classroom activities. There are currently 4 ways that you can access the material in the products called You Can Handle Them All. First is the book. So you can buy the book. At the time of recording of this video, it's approximately $27 to purchase the book. You can purchase a one-time fee website membership, and then you have access to the website forevermore, and that's approximately $40. Probably my 2 favorite ways to access the material, and I own both, is the app for either Apple or Android, and that's about $10, and also quick action cards for about $14.50. The reason why I like these last 2 methods the best is because they're portable. You can take them with you in the classroom. So let's take a better look at this app and see how practical and pragmatic it is and helpful to teachers. Regardless which form of the You Can Handle Them All product that you use, the method of using it is the same. Begin by identifying the underlying reason, the primary cause for the behavior, according to those 4 categories we just mentioned. Does this behavior seem to fit under attention? Is it power? Is it revenge? Or is it a self-confidence issue? Then you'll be led to a series of descriptors, and we're going to take a look at them in a moment. Choose one of those types of behavior, and then you can read for each behavior that's described, and there's 120 some of them. You can read the description of the behavior and the primary cause to get a better understanding and make sure you're in the right zone, and also to understand it more deeply. Then you can read methods, procedures, and techniques that you can immediately try. And again, it's like a menu and a host of things that you can do, and the things you can select from. So it's not prescriptive saying do this and do that exactly, but rather the materials suggest here are a series of things. Choose from that list what's appropriate in your situation with that particular student or group of students. And then they also have a section called Mistakes to Avoid. And I think that that's very positive because it's very helpful in that they tell you here are some things you can do, but here are some things you definitely don't want to do because you can make the situation worse. Let's take a better look at the app and see how it can be used. So let's take a better look at You Can Handle Them All. I'm going to open the app now, and let's get a little feel for how it looks. When you open the app, I'm using my iPad, there's some information about how to use the discipline model, some background, and some good information to provide the foundation for using this. And then there are the 4 categories. So as a teacher, I can click in. One way to access the material is to click into one of these categories. When I click in, I can find one of the 124 behaviors that are categorized here, and it's a subset of them here. So I can take a look. Let me say that person is the test challenger. Now, when I open up one of these behaviors, I can see a description of the behavior on top, primary causes of the misbehavior, so attention is certainly one of them. That was the category that I entered, but also self-confidence may be a primary cause of this behavior as well. Then I look at methods and procedures and techniques to immediately implement. And again, this is not a prescriptive do 1, 2, and 3 in order, or nor are they saying do all 6. But look through this list of 6, in this case, possible methods to address this behavior. Take a look at that and then choose what's appropriate for that situation, that student. They also have mistakes to avoid. Here are some things you don't want to do because it may make the situation worse. They also have a See Also portion on the bottom, and this portion will take you to other things, other behaviors that may be related to this. So maybe you didn't get the exact correct behavior, but you can click in and find it here listed on the bottom. And the same thing happens with all 4 of these categories. I can also search for a category. So I can type something up here. For example, I have a student who's bossy. Oh, here's the boss. I can click in and get into the content and access it that way. I can also go back to the categories, and I can, when I find something that I really need to focus on with certain students, I can log them in as favorites. So here's the I won't do it student. And then I can find students who are outright refusing to do certain things, and again find all this valuable information. So that gives a little idea of how this app works, and choose the form of the app that's going to be best for you. Remember, they have a book form, an online form, an app, and also action cards.
Now, let's turn our attention to 2 different apps that can help us track student behavior live in the classroom. While some teachers like to be more traditional in terms of tracking student behavior, and they like to do it in a tablet with a pen, many teachers today are opting instead for using an app, either on their phone or tablet device. The advantages to using the app are that, number 1, you always have the device with you. Number 2, it's portable and you can mark all these behaviors immediately. Number 3, they offer additional tools that are not available in the traditional system. For example, you can track various things and print out graphs and charts. You can display things to students if they're younger students, and you can also even communicate with parents. And in some apps, you can also communicate with administrators in case there's something happening in your class immediately. The first app we'll take a look at is Class Dojo. Now, Class Dojo is a very popular tool used by a lot of teachers. Realize that it is used by early childhood teachers, elementary levels, and all the way up typically through middle level. Now, is it possible to use this app if you're working with older students? Yes, it is. But in that case, you don't necessarily display the different avatars, the monsters, and the cute things that they have that are motivating and encouraging to much younger students. Let's take a brief tour of Class Dojo app.
So let me open up Class Dojo on my iPad. I've already logged into my account. I'm going to select a demonstration class in which I have several made-up students. Now notice in the interface, notice those avatars, and all the avatars are monsters. Realize that for younger grades, for early childhood grades, a teacher can opt to present some of this material on a projection screen, and that can be motivating to the young students. As you start to move into middle level,
except for the very youngest grades there, that no longer becomes a motivator. So even teachers who are working with higher grades can still use this, they just won't project. Let's take a look at the interface and see how easy this is to use. I can walk around with my mobile device, and let's say I click into one of the students, and notice there are positive comments, and notice it says edit skills, so I can add new ones, and needs work comments. So this student right now is working very hard. So I will give that positive comment, and I will also say the student is participating well. So now these things will appear in this student's listing of summary of activities. Now, when I'm doing this, I can also do something for the whole class if I want to, and give the whole class a rating. Again, for younger grades, that's very effective. I'm going to click on in the upper right, the three dots to bring up the menu. I can connect with parents. Right now I don't have parents. This is a fake class here. But if I wanted to, I could now connect, and I could send things and communicate in real time to parents. And notice on the very bottom of this screen, there's a camera button. To access the camera, I can capture video and photos of things that are happening, not necessarily just behavior problems, but positive behaviors that we may want to share with families as well. So as you can see, Class Dojo is usable, it's easy, I can use it on the fly when I'm teaching, and I can very quickly and easily click into something.
Let's look at one more student behavior tracking app. Similar to Class Dojo, but made for older students, is Teacher's Assistant, Classroom Management Notes. Now, as of the recording of this video, it's only available for iPad and iPhone. It is ideal for middle school and high school students. It's free to try, and you can access a number of features. If you want to unlock all features, it's approximately $6 charge. You can record student actions, you can add student photos, you can add parent and administrator information as well, so you can very quickly not only in detail record information about student behaviors, but you can also quickly contact parents, administrators, or also send email blasts to classes as well. This is a very comprehensive app, and it allows you to have a complete record of student behavior for for parent conferences. So let's take a brief look at what this app looks like.
So let me go ahead and open Teacher Assistant. And you'll see it is similar to Class Dojo, but it is made for older students, and it's much more involved, many more features here. So I can click into my classes, or I can go directly to students, and I've created a test class with only 2 students in, and I'm going to click on one of those students, and this would just show like the background information on the right. On the left-hand side, I'm starting to see a record of information with dates and times when students perform different actions, and when, as a teacher, I recorded those actions. Now, let me go to the home screen, and I can click in individual students if I wanted to. I could also add an action to many. So when I go to add an action, as opposed to Class Dojo that has 1 or 2 word items available, here I have a full form that I can complete. And some of the items will be easier to fill out once I start using the app more. So I have a field dealing with the action. The date and the time will automatically be stamped. The teacher's response, what did the teacher do about this? Is it important to list any location information or other optional things? And did you notify the parent? Do you want to put more information on it in a description? Do you want to make some notes about this? So you can see this is very comprehensive. Like the Class Dojo, you might just flag one or two things right in the beginning, and then later after class you could sit down and type in more detail some of this more detailed information. Notice we can also send an email blast to students. We could also communicate with parents and even with administrators. And this app will allow you to also take, similar to the other software we looked at, take a picture or even take a video as part of the student's record. So this app provides a lot of good, helpful, detailed information for older students and at a very cheap price.
To wrap up today's class and to further process the information that we've considered, let's hold an online discussion. I provided a series of prompting questions. Realize that when you make a post to the discussion board, you do not have to respond to every single question here, but rather these are meant to get our discussion started. Hopefully, as the whole class weighs in, we will cover all of these different areas. Hope you enjoyed today's class and look forward to seeing you at our next online class.